Sean, give us your sense. You were there of where this investigation goes from here and how, too, they arrived at the arrest of Elizabeth Tracy May Wetlaufer.
Well, I did ask in the news conference, Marcia, whether or not Elizabeth May Tracy Wetlaufer had, in fact, turned herself in. Investigators were not willing to share whether or not that was the case. That was some information that we had heard may, in fact, be the case, but they're not willing to confirm that at this time. I can tell you that there's certainly a lot of attention around this case, especially here in Woodstock, where 7 of the deceased elderly folks that are between the ages of 70 and 95 perished. One, of course, passing away in London at the hands of allegedly at the hands of the person now charged. So obviously a very concerning reality for the people here in Woodstock. And certainly during this news conference, I do want to point out, you couldn't see it on camera, but there were numerous people in a reserved area that we believe were family members. There was Kleenex boxes provided. There was definitely some emotions there that I was able to capture as I was filming with my camera. Those people were ushered out immediately after the news conference and had nothing to say, but their faces said it all. You can imagine for family members, this is a very, very stressful and upsetting time.
49-year-old Elizabeth Tracy May Wetlaufer taken into custody yesterday. What more can you tell us about where she is right now, Sean?
Well, she appeared in Woodstock court this morning. She was remanded back into custody. We would assume she is being held likely at this juncture, likely in London, although police would not say where she's being held. There is no date given for a future court appearance at this time. But obviously, this is one, again, that many people here will be watching. As you know, Marcia, Woodstock has gone through a tremendous amount of pain lately with the Tori Stafford case happening here.
And Sean, you're a local reporter in that region, this story making national headlines today. Had you, in your newsroom or in your region, caught wind of these deaths, this number of deaths at seniors' homes? Was this a story that you had been covering prior to today?
Well, certainly, I mean, the police had put out that release back on the 14th, but prior to that, we were receiving tips, as I know the national newsroom was receiving tips in relation to this case. There are many pieces of this puzzle, some of which have now become public thanks to this news conference, and there are many others that will be followed up on over the next several days. It was interesting to note that in the news conference, the police said to a direct question whether or not any of these bodies would be exhumed for further information, and they said they don't believe that's required at this time, again pointing to the fact that they do believe a drug, which they did not specify, was administered to these 8 victims. And now, as you mentioned, one person, a former registered nurse, is charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder.
And one more question for you, Sean. Tell us about where this investigation goes from here. Are they looking at Tracy Wetlaufer's employment history prior to working in southwestern Ontario?
They didn't go into specific details about that, but they certainly did say that they will be looking at her employment. They also kind of hinted around that she is or has been an employee elsewhere, but at this point they believe they would not rule out there will be possibly more victims, but at this point they believe they have the number of victims that will in the end be what comes out in court. So we will see as time develops. As they made it clear, it is still an ongoing case, but at this point they believe these will be the 8 counts that Tracy May Wetlaufer will face.
Okay, I'm actually going to keep you for one more question, if we can, Sean, because we're now just receiving a statement from the care home, Crescent. They are saying this is the Crescent Care Center in Woodstock. They say that they are cooperating fully with police, investigating the actions of the former staff member, a registered nurse who left their home's employ approximately 2.5 years ago. They remain in regular contact with the Ministry of Health, Long-Term Care. They go on to say that their highest priority is to provide for the physical, social, and spiritual needs of their residents. You mentioned, Sean, that you thought that there were some families there in attendance for that news conference today. Did you see anyone from the home speaking with them? Is there anything more that you can tell us about the families and who they were interacting with during that news presser?
I can tell you that I can't say for certain there were members of the nursing home community here in terms of the employees, but there were definitely people, several of them, that were talking with them at times, trying to block certain people from television cameras that were here. But there were people that obviously were in that group that we can't say for certain, but certainly by the emotions, they certainly looked like family members, and they certainly appeared to, feeling a lot of upset about what they were hearing. I think in many cases they wanted to come to hear it for themselves. I'm sure police had told them this information prior, but maybe they wanted to hear it to see that this is in fact a reality, that 8 people have died under what is alleged to be a homicide situation. So definitely a tough day for those folks that were sitting over to my right here just a few moments ago.
Okay, CTV Sean Irvine, thanks for your reporting. We really appreciate it.